So I'm starting out in model railroading, and one of the first things that a lot of the sites recommend is to have a track plan. There's a free track planner tool out there called XtrkCad, which works on Linux, which is what I prefer to use. And I found this video from Pepperell Sighting Model Railroad Club. I think that's how you pronounce it, where they discuss the basics of using XtrkCad. However, they don't demonstrate what you're actually clicking in the video, so I thought I would include that in this video while going through it. So if you go to YouTube, you can search for MRC, which is their site. Click on videos and scroll down, and this is the one I'm playing. Basics of using XtrkCad. If you don't have XtrkCad, you can search for it, XtrkCad download or something like that, and you might end up at this website on SourceForge, the XtrkCad Model Railroad Track Planner Wiki. Click the download link. If you have questions, they have a support group on Google. It's now groups.io, no longer a Yahoo Groups, as mentioned in this video that I'll be playing. And that's the link to that, which I have on this tab here. Click on messages, and you can see all the latest messages. The latest release is 530GA, which is what I'll be using. This video is using 4.3, I believe. So with that, get started.
One of the reasons I wanted to go through all the options one at a time from top to bottom is because a lot of times when I'm looking for an option, I'll go through looking top to bottom. I don't remember where half of this is, and version 3 had them in a different place than version 4. I learned version 3, then they went in and proved it on me.
Oh, there's a version 4?
It's not anything to do with the computer, they do it as soon as you fly it.
But you don't even have to pay for this, so they don't do it, so you have to buy another copy.
What version are you using for?
I'm using 4.03 because that's the latest one you could download.
Okay, that's the one I have, okay.
I started learning on 3 point something.
No, okay.
And I'm still a little messed up. But that doesn't matter, it's close enough.
That's all right, Harry, we'll make it.
So I'm just going to repeat the first part really quickly. If you start a new drawing, instead of going all over the place, the first thing I like to recommend is to go to the option menu, which is the 8th one in the row and the different menu options at the top. And we'll just go through all of them. The layout's the first one. Instead of the default room width and room height, it's funny, it says height. Width and height is good for paper, but it's length and width for a real room. But it starts with 96 by 48, always in inches for a 4 by 8. And I like to use something bigger, minimum of at least 120 by 96, but I like 240 by 120. Layout title and subtitle goes directly into the plots. The next one is the most important one, which is the scale. It will sort the files so you only see, let's say, turnouts that are HO gauge when we load up the parameter files. And if it's N, it'll just ignore them. If you have dual gauge on your layout, you can flip that in the middle from HO to N, and all the HO track and buildings disappear, all the N comes in. So it's a really nice way to flip in between, especially if you're doing the Huntley Special, which is the HO in front and the N in back, and then the Z even farther back, doing the forced perspective. It's a really nice tool for that sort of thing. The gauge, most people leave it standard, but if you're doing a narrow gauge, you can mix back and forth. The flex track is very flexible in that you can mix different kinds of gauges. And dual gauge they actually have you do by putting down narrow gauge and regular gauge in the same spot. And I can show you how to do that later, but I don't think anybody here needs to. Minimum track radius, default of 18, just highlights where you have track that is under that radius, and max track grade of 5 will highlight where you have a grade higher than that. We're going to go to the next option now. And I want you guys to follow along. Under options, the next one is display options. You can color layers either by the track that, the track can be colored by layer, so everything on layer 1, 2, 3, 4 is different colors. Or you can have all of it the same color, but the identity inside, whatever it is, has a different color. And that's good if you want to change your layering. You can see what's on what layer, but then go back so it looks lifelike, green grass. It's a useful tool. Maybe I'll skip through this and only stop at the really important ones. Drawing a tunnel, you can hide trains. Drawing the endpoints, I like to have at all so you can see every junction. Drawing ties, I leave solid or none depending on what I want to do. 2-rail scale, you should probably go and change to, let's say, 32, and I can demonstrate that later, but it makes it a little less cluttered when you're working. Map scale is to scale the little floating map that you should have on the screen. And let's see, I'll skip the others. Label, enable, turn them all off for now because it's confusing in the beginning. And the rest, label scale, label layouts, you can turn all the check marks off, and we can turn them back on when we want to see that stuff. And when you look through, you can see a lot of hints of what it can do.
What does the 2-rail scale do, Harry?
If you're zooming, there's a certain scale where if you're outside that, you're going to see a single line, and if you zoom in closer, you see 2 rails.
Okay.
It's also tied to where you see ties. And so, to me, a pair of rails or a single rail doesn't matter. I can work with either, but the ties are what make it look too cluttered.
I found it's also a performance issue. Draw ties.
On older laptops, yeah. Drawing solid is less of a performance issue, just because when it overlaps, it doesn't seem to care so much. Command there's only one thing that's really important, which is the default command. You can have either describe or select, and for now I want to use select.
I think that was the next option.
Next option.
Yeah,
Next
sorry.
option, I'm sorry, yeah, okay.
Next option down. Sorry, I went a little fast.
You said select?
Yeah, select. And draw moving tracks, leave it normal, just in case somebody's following along on the tape. Easements, for now, we're going to leave at none, and I'll show you how to use them later. That's probably going to be the second or third one. But that's for having a gradual transition into a curve, just like we do with the stick.
Easements, where are they?
Oh, yeah, we're going.
Right
The
under-
next
right under command.
option.
Next option.
You gotta tell us when you're changing options, Harry.
Okay, I'm changing options.
Okay.
Next option is font.
All right.
People sometimes complain they print it out and they can't see anything. If that's the case, go back to font, change to a bigger size. This program isn't very good for scaling the font to what you want. Next is sticky.
I gotta get rid of some of these. One here.
Yep. And go through and turn all of them on as sticky. If you don't, you're gonna, let's say, move a track, and at the end it's gonna say, okay, what's the next command you want me to do? What sticky will do is after you move a track, it knows you want to move another track. And if you're at the end of your layout, you usually want that. You move it and then you want to zoom or do some other command. But in the beginning, if you draw one track, you probably want to draw a next one right after it. So, first thing I do is usually turn the sticky on.
When you're done, do you have to turn it off?
No,
No.
it's only if you always find yourself saying, geez, I gotta cancel that again, I gotta cancel that again, just go and turn the sticky off, and you get it
Okay.
right.
Yeah.
You can click them individually.
Oh, I see, okay. Now, wait, sticky, I'm sorry. Sticky is gonna do what for us, Harry?
Let's say you draw a track, a piece of track. If you don't have sticky on, you go to put another track down,
Yeah.
it doesn't know you still want to draw a track. Sticky leaves it in the same mode.
Okay.
It'll make more sense when you start actually.
Right.
Yeah, maybe we should
What's all these different commands under sticky though? It tells you,
just turn them all on, we'll get there.
oh, turn them all on?
Yeah, all this just makes it easier for you guys to follow along.
Okay.
And this is, in my opinion, one of the things I don't like about XtrkCad. Once you know how to use it, you can go to work right away. But if you don't know how, you'd never think to turn these on. And it's harder to use. They should have left it for the default being easiest to use.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah, 'cause instead of having to go turn it on, select it, draw a line, select it, draw a line, yeah, it's a pain in the neck.
Yeah,
Not quite as user-friendly as we like to think it is.
it is once you get used to it. But
Once you
until
know the
then,
rules.
right,
Yeah.
once you know the
Once
rules.
you know how to set it up to be friendly.
Yeah.
All right.
The next option is preferences. Or let me know if you're still turning stickies on.
Ooh. I deserve that.
Next one's preferences. This is where you can choose which way your angle zero is, like a compass or like math class, or your metric units, Jack, that you were interested in.
Yeah.
And your length format. You cannot pick feet, but if you're doing metric, you have meters, so at least that's one nice thing. Minimum track lengths, all these other things you can leave as default. Balloon help is good, leave it on, so if you hover over balloon help and leave your cursor there, it says enable, disable balloon pop-up help windows, that's all it does. So if you're going down to load last layout, it automatically resumes work on the last layout, you don't have to tell it to load. That's good help for when you're not quite sure what to do or what something does. The rest of this you could leave all as is. Just wanted you to know what's in there. And last but not least is the colors. So if you don't like the color of something, you can change it. I don't even bother. Just go on. Next thing we have to do is load some track. So if you go to the File menu and go down to Parameter Files, click it. You see a little box comes up, and once you load a library, the list of the track libraries you have goes into the box. So if you click on Browse, I'm not sure if you guys are there, but there's a bunch of files with .xtp. If you have a fresh load, I'm not sure if it points to the right place. Can you see them, George? Or
I've got them, but
What are they?
okay, good. There's a bunch of files that have .xtp at the end.
Pause the video here. So obviously I don't have XTP files here. So I have to find them. And the easiest way to find them I found was to show file names. And you see all these paths, user share, XtrkCad, that apparently is my installation directory. And they're under the params folder. So if I go to browse again, go to my file system, user share, XtrkCad is at the bottom. There's params, and now you can see all the XTP files. However, when he describes them, the names have changed since version 4. Instead of beginning with Pico, for example, they're beginning with the scale. HO, for example. And you have HO, Pico, etc. I found the easiest way to do what he's about to say is to just go into the library itself and search for Pico. And you can see all the ones that are compatible. This little bubble, he doesn't mention this must be new in this version or later versions, but if you wanted to see other Picos, you can pick for any, then you can see all the O scale, N scale, etc. for that. Also, he doesn't mention this version must come with defaults. So the red bubbles, these are because my layout was HO, and you remember the options. These are incompatible with HO, the O scale, the S scale, TT, N, and Z. Let's continue the video.
There's,
No, I don't,
okay, if you don't see them,
Params, click on that, double click. Do you have a params
I have a
folder?
params, yeah.
Double click on that
yeah,
folder.
go into the params folder. It's
Okay, now I get it.
It's
I
in
see
the
it.
XtrkCad install directory, so wherever you installed it, it'll be a subdirectory of XtrkCad. And it says params, I didn't understand it. A parameter file is like a library of parts. There's basically 4 types of libraries. You could put anything you want in there, but they have it organized as track libraries, rolling stock and engine libraries, building libraries, and scenery. The 5th type is user type, which is where you put anything you want in it. But there's really no difference. If I made a great user library, or I got every piece of Pico track and made a library and give it to the guys that put the tool together, they'll publish it, and now it's its own regular parameter library. There's nothing special about it. In fact, some of these weren't there before, like Arnold wasn't there. Somebody used a lot of Arnold track, probably in Germany, and now there's an Arnold library. So what I'm going to start with is Pico. Go down to the Pico. And there's a lot of Picos in there.
It certainly is.
Pico, yeah.
Okay, we're going to pick picoho.xtp.
Pico.
Perry,
HO.HO.
yeah, does it make you a difference what code it is?
Yes.
It does.
Now, Pico HO is just code 100. The next one underneath is
83.
Pico HO83.
Okay.
So,
Oh, I see, it's all,
and part of the reason Pico's special that way is because the regular HO is...
So what I'm going to do is you can control click what you want to add. So he mentioned Pico HO 100 and Pico HO code 83. I press the control key and click, and I have these two. And then click add, and now we have those two added.
European prototype and the HO83 is North American prototype. I don't know why they did that, but they did, so you need a different library. It's not just a height difference.
What the hell is Pico HOM?
Narrow gauge.
Oh, narrow gauge? Okay.
It's not the N, it's the N30.
Alright.
And
Yeah, I
so,
don't care.
okay,
I'm gonna rattle it.
okay.
And as part of that usually represents a narrow gauge, and then the numbers indicate the actual
Oh, okay.
gauge, because in some cases they
Where
vary.
did you download the software? Right off your, you just download the software off your internet.
SoundForge, or
XtrkCad.com.
SourceForge is the name of the library.
What is it?
SourceForge. But all you have to do is type into Google XtrkCad download, and it'll show you the SourceForge website. That's where most of the open source software is allowed to exist for free on their servers, so people make use of that.
Under Xtract, look, Google XtrkCad.
Yeah, so it's XtrkCad, and you can also put the A in track. I think both searches work, because so many people got confused. They put both of them in as keywords. So once you have one in, you can hit open, and it loads. Then click browse again, load in the other one. The HO is one of them. The other one we want is the HOST, which is set track. That's basically their version of SnapTrack.
So it's a Pico HO
Yeah.
ST.
Yep.
Pico, Pico,
What does set track mean again?
It's
Snapchat.
SnapTrack, yeah, like Apple
Oh,
SnapTrack.
okay.
And the other thing you can put in, just for fun, is ATL 100HO.
Keep that up there, George.
Just hit the browse.
Hit the browse again.
Oh, the browser. Okay. Back here.
So ATL, that's Atlas 100.
Yeah. And the idea is these are all the turnouts that club members usually use. If you wanted to, you could find other ones, but I want to cover what the club uses as a general rule.
What do we have, H? Okay, that was. Right there, right? Okay.
Now, if you want to get rid of one of them, you can hit the unload and then delete it from the library, but we don't need to do that. The next thing I'd have you look at is right above the area where the layout is, you'll see a whole bunch of track pieces now. And it starts, mine starts anyways, well, there's a couple arrows, and you can move to the left or move to the right by clicking the arrows.
You won't see it until you hit OK.
Oh, sorry.
Is that?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, Jack, you too. You have to close the, once you have all your track selected, your track libraries, hit OK to close that track library box.
I'm not sure why you're not seeing it here.
Where's the drive?
Go back.
Yeah.
Go back to
It didn't load?
parameter files. It doesn't look like they loaded.
Go back to the parameter files, load one at a time, and then hit OK and see if it came in.
Okay, oh, okay, after that, okay.
No, my guess is you have to unload first and then go back and reload.
Well, before he does that,
They
go
show
back
up
to the
there.
options and then layout, and make sure you're actually in HO scale.
Ah,
Because if you're not in HO scale, it'll hide them.
good point. And also, if you're in the wrong gauge,
Ooh,
I do that all the time.
you're right, 'cause I'm an N gauge.
Okay.
Now, do you,
He was in Engage.
yeah. Mel, do you want to put in N gauge while we're doing HO? It doesn't matter.
No, no, I wanna work,
Okay.
that's for somebody else, not me.
Now, the reason I knew to check that right away is because that's a common problem.
Okay, so now I'm there.
I've been reading the, what do you call it, the Yahoo groups for probably 4 or 5 years now, and that's the number one problem that you hear. Help, where's my track? I don't see it.
Yeah.
It's up there.
The other thing I should let you guys
Mine
know
than yours.
before we go further, if you go to the help menu and you see where it says demos, there's a list of maybe 10, 12 demos. That's where I learned the program.
Ah,
After that, I learned a little more by fooling around and listening to questions people had on the forum. But if you finish that and understand everything, you can definitely design a layout without my help. You just might learn a couple new things that I learned from other people. And because you have a grid, it's fairly easy to snap it so it's horizontal. Mine is at about 9 feet.
So at this point, the video seemed to jump, or they missed a section of the recording. He's doing a draw line, I believe, or to try to create a, your part of your bench work. The grid can be turned on with this button. And he's doing a draw a line, which is this arrow, create a straight line. And I believe he started at 2 feet. Just went somewhere. I don't know if I have snap to grid on or not. Yeah, it looks good. Let me keep it angled, but we'll cover that in a bit.
The inches are always shown in the text boxes, but the rulers will go to feet. Has everybody got their line?
Did you put a line in there, George?
No.
Wow, you took place.
where do we put the line in?
Wherever you want, but I started mine at the left edge at the 2 foot mark, and I drew it over about 9 feet.
Okay, now wait a minute. Oh, how come I got a double line?
You don't have snap on
Must
the
have done it
top.
twice.
That's right, yeah.
What?
You must have done it twice.
Just
If
tell
you
me
have a double line.
Well, wait a minute. Ooh, I don't wanna do that. Where's the undo in this little son of a gun?
Well, good
Never mind, I
question.
got it.
Well, usually it's Control Z,
But,
but if you go up to Edit and look at the very first entry, Undo, this way you'll know it's Control Z.
all right, okay, I'm sorry, you guys are creating a straight line, am I correct?
Yeah,
Straight
that's,
line.
it's a shelf.
Okay.
They're making a shelf to put the chain
Okay,
on.
well,
And I'm
pardon
just
me.
making the boundary.
Sorry, I was, doing something else.
Okay.
I was creating a track.
Oh, that's why you got 2 lines.
That's right.
That's what I was gonna say, is he set up to do a track?
That's because he hit the place straight track instead of place a line.
The 4th and 5th buttons on the toolbar are also undo and redo.
Yep.
Yeah.
I usually just use Control Z and Control R. But more important, I wanted to show you that if you hold down any of the menus, you'll see on the right side, it'll say Control Z, Control R,
Gives you all the
Control X,
shortcuts.
so that you can learn to use the keyboard with one hand and mouse with the other. And you get a lot faster,
They do what?
as opposed to always hunting up and down with the mouse.
Yeah.
Okay, I can't throw a straight line. That's
And
No.
don't worry about it, we'll straighten it in a second.
When I did AutoCAD, all 3-digit codes instead of going and picking it.
Yeah. Yeah.
6 weeks.
You gotta hit the line
When they show us the snap picture. When the hell did they show us that?
straight. That's
Anyway,
Straight.
Okay, the next part is relatively easy. If you go roughly to the middle, there's a red arrow, and it says Select Object. There's only 2 buttons in that group. One has the question mark, the next one has the red arrow.
How do I get rid of this little critter now?
That was select objects, you said?
Yep,
Where is that?
roughly in the middle of the pack. There's 2 buttons right beside each other, a little to the left of the center. But that'll depend on your window size too.
What's that now? Select, I'm sorry, a little
Yeah.
slow here.
look
Select,
for the red arrow.
You got it?
Flip select.
And now you can click
You
on
got
it.
it?
there's Select Object, and the one beside it is the Scribe Object. And I'm gonna go through them really quickly,
Click.
just to show you what they do with the first
See, you've now
object.
selected it.
Oh, arrow again, oh, select objects, okay.
Gotcha. Everybody have it?
Yep, I want to do it.
Okay, so with that down, click on the line, and you see it turns red to let you know it's selected.
Alright.
Hold down the Shift key, and then click on the line and move it around.
Oh, okay.
Now, hold down the Shift and click the wrong side,
Click the what side?
the right button on the mouse instead of the left one, and then draw straight up. You see you make a sort of teeter-totter, and when you rock it back and forth, you rotate the object.
Oh, okay.
Take that one again.
So that didn't work for me with the right click business. If I hold the control key down, that's the rotate. And you see the teeter-totter he was talking about. And this is teeter-tottering around the middle of the object in this case, which we can see in the properties later, where you can specify whether it's the first endpoint over here is where it started, or the last endpoint for the middle.
Okay.
I'm hitting this, I'm sorry.
Okay, let's start again.
I'm the low man on the pole here.
It's okay. Is it red?
Oh yeah, it's red.
Okay, that means it's selected. That's good. Hold down the Shift key on the keyboard,
Yep.
Then use the right mouse button,
Right.
click and hold on the line. And while you're still holding the mouse button, drag straight up.
I'll grab it.
George, you wanna
Yeah.
see if you can
That's-
double click in that bell?
Click the line, right click.
Yep. We got
And
it.
now go up.
It's not
the red
red.
line. Yeah, I don't think you're.
Is it red?
Yeah, it is red.
Shift
Does he
button.
have the
Shift.
red arrow down, the select key? Up on top, the menu item?
Well, it's a
No.
bit of-
Pick, pick that red
That's
arrow.
what's
Ah.
wrong then, okay.
There we go.
And it could be that your sticky isn't set, so it
Yeah,
unpaused
no,
from
it's
last
like
time.
that.
Not just go back and forth,
Yeah, it
yeah.
just fell off the end. No, I just, sorry.
Good incline.
Have you
Yeah,
sticky
wow.
set now?
My sticky said yes.
Ooh, sticky, he got between his fingers.
Okay, so
Oh, Chuck.
I did this demo for George, but it's really cool when you lay out, let's say 10 lane classification yard, and then you grab it at the throat and you rotate the whole yard to get the angle you want it to come in at.
Oh.
So whatever you have selected will all rotate around that one point. And the other way, when you're moving it, panning it back and forth, it also moves everything that's selected. And if you select something that you're not supposed to select, it'll also move. So you have to undo, unselect, and then reselect before you make a mess and can't go back.
Now, why have you got your little map? Oh.
Because I'm bigger than the screen.
Oh, okay. I'm not.
Okay, let's go through the zoom based on Mel's question. The very first 3 buttons are zoom in, change drawing scale, and zoom out. If you use that center one and click it, you see a whole range of scales you can have. And the one that has a dot in the circle is the one you're currently on. Or you can step up and down. Now, if your mouse has a wheel, you can also just roll that back and forth to zoom in and out. It's really quick.
I noticed this will draw right off your.
You can make it so small, the line just is raced off.
That's right. And all you have to do is roll back up.
Yeah.
But text disappears too, which is annoying. You have to roll back in.
How'd I get that V1?
The next thing I want to cover is that little question mark, which is describe objects.
Yeah.
So click on describe objects and then click on that line.
Boy.
Now, everybody's moved their line,
The question.
but if you need precision, this is where you put in your coordinates to third decimal. There, I don't know if you noticed when we're setting the options, you actually set what the default is, and if you want to go to something unmanufacturable, you can put in 6 decimals. It doesn't care.
No. I can't work to that close.
If you want it to go a certain angle, and you want it always to be the same angle, 90 and 0 is easy, but you might say you want 10 degrees or 20 degrees, because you know it's going to go to a stall or a turntable, or a roundhouse connected to a turntable. It's just as easy to move that line by changing the angle as it is to change the length or the X or Y points. The other thing that's important is this pivot. If you say first, then that endpoint 1 is going to always be the reference, and if you change the angle, that endpoint 1 stays in the same place, and endpoint 2 is the one that moves. If you change the pivot to second, it's the other way around. Usually people don't care about this, but then they complain, how come I can't put something exactly where I want it? And this is how you put it exactly where you want it. You want to move it 1/10 of an inch?
You're not funny.
Don't monkey around, just go in here and add 0.1. and you get the 1/10 of the inch.
Depends on your perspective.
That's on the endpoints, right?
Yeah.
And I got lost again. I got this white looking line, but how,
I'm gonna show you the best part now, how you delete it.
I'm looking forward to that, believe me.
If anything is too big a mess, just delete it and start again.
Oh, really?
Yeah, save your work so you can always go back to it.
Maybe we'll save it. Oh, wow. One note. I don't wanna do that.
Then you have to give it to me.
All right. How am I gonna delete this thing? Go ahead.
Okay, go to Select Objects, which is the arrow. Click on the table edge, and it turns red. Hit the delete key on the keyboard.
Hit what, huh?
Far right.
Right here. Whoops.
Gotta turn red first.
Now hit the delete key. Ah, oh, that's easy. I use that a lot.
Most people do.
Some more than others.
Okay, I'm going to zoom out a bit and just make some lines. Because I have sticky on, I'm just going to make a U-shaped set of lines around the room. And I'm not even going to worry about where they are, because I want to show you some track laying and just very rough. You can go and measure and put this in the exact location.
Hope that was helpful.